Welcome on in, everyone. I hope everyone is having a good day. This is episode 5 of the Pace Files podcast. I'm here with Zack.
Uh, I'm Zack 207. Anyone watching live right now definitely probably knows who I am, considering it's my stream. But yeah, I'd speedrun Super Mario Odyssey. Pretty much only Super Mario Odyssey at the moment. But I plan to get into Super Mario Bros. Wonder in about a month. And yeah, I've just always been a pretty big Mario fan from a very early age. So I'm happy to be on the podcast.
Yeah, and I'm glad to have you. Uh, so, to get into it, I have not really met you that much. Like, I don't
Yeah.
know a lot about you, and probably vice versa. Um, so tell me a little bit, like, about you. Like, how did you get into speedrunning, to begin with?
All right. So this is definitely the question that I've thought of the most because I've just expected it. So this might be a bit of a long answer. But when I was pretty young, I got my first DS. First game was New Super Mario Bros. DS. Very good game. And then from there on, I got several more DSs because I kept breaking them. And then I got a Wii U because I saw a Super Mario Maker ad like on my Kindle or something. So I thought that game looked really cool, especially as someone who only really played 2D Mario's up to that point. So I got a Wii U, made a bunch of hot garbage that a lot of people would at that age, and then uh then Odyssey was revealed. And I did know actually from like at an early age, I watched a lot of like New Super Mario Bros. U speedruns. This when I was like 7 years old. I watched like a lot of New Super Mario Bros. U playthroughs and speedruns. Same with New Super Mario Bros. Wii and all that stuff. So I saw a lot of speedruns of that, and I don't actually think I really knew the difference between speedruns and playthroughs at that time, which was really funny. Uh, but yeah, later on, I actually saw a YouTube channel. I think it's In the Littlewood, who probably more of a kids channel. I think I don't know though. And I saw their Super Mario Odyssey playthrough, and before that point, like the trailers I saw of Mario Odyssey, like looked kind of weird because it's obviously a very different game. All the 3D Mario games, like when I was younger, like they looked weird to me because they were just so different and unique and creative. Uh, so at first I thought it was kind of weird when it was revealed, but when I saw like an actual playthrough of it, then I became very interested in it, and I kind of just got the game for Christmas along with the Nintendo Switch, and then I believe I first played it on the 1st of January 2018. And from then on, I wasn't really involved with the speedrunning community yet, but I kept up to date with it from an early standpoint. You know, watching channels like Fearsome Fire, DGR, Small Ant, all those channels, and I got very involved, or I got very interested in the speedruns and tried to do some speedruns myself probably mid early 2018. I know my first run of Mario Odyssey was a 302, which is a lot worse than a lot of other people's first runs. But
Mm-hmm.
I think for me, I kind of just and it's always kind of been this way, but I didn't take things very seriously on my first run. And now I definitely take things a lot more seriously, but even when I had like 108 and stuff, like I was doing all sorts of tricks I should not have been doing then because my movement was like has always been quite a bit higher than what my PB might show, which is the case with a lot of speedrunners of really any game. Uh so yeah, but then I want to say yeah, 2020 cuz I was very young at this time. Like I'm only 16 now, so this is like when I was like 11 and 12, like in 2018 and stuff, when I was first getting into the game. So I was waiting until I was 13 to like make accounts of everything. And eventually, in November of 2019, I turned 13. So I started making all these accounts and started actually like talking to some people in the community, not very frequently, because I was very silly, and I thought to make like a YouTube channel or a Twitch channel, I needed a capture card. So I went ahead
Oh
and I bought
no.
a capture card. And the problem with buying a capture card was this was February 2020, right before the pandemic. So the capture card took 3.5 months to come through Amazon.
Ah.
But then, yeah, but then at the end of May 2020, actually, I think they sent me the wrong capture card twice, and I ended up just ordering off of Walmart and got it a week later. Um, but yeah, like end of May 2020, I got my capture card, I got all that. I started a live stream where I reacted to BTTV6, which was a very cringe live stream, as you can imagine. I was pretty young. Um, but it was probably when I considered to have really joined the SMO community, whether I like it or not. And then the next day, I made my first YouTube video, which I have since deleted, which is the case with a lot of my early videos.
Hey, you know
Um,
what? That is perfectly okay. I have a couple of videos from my high school days that I had to use as projects, and before I started posting on YouTube, um, and I I had to make sure those videos were privated.
yeah, yeah.
They
When
are
I'm not,
very cringy projects that all I needed was a grade for. So
yeah. And this is when I was in like 8th grade, so these were probably even more
that's
cringe.
even late.
So I was like, sometimes I would upload videos, and then 3 weeks later, I'd be like, "Man, this is cringe," and I'd just private them. Uh, some of which some people have told me aren't cringe, but like, I don't know. I don't like having them public.
The one thing that learning how to, well, one, learning speedrunning, and then also like if you're streaming it, you go back through and you're watching your VOD to learn, okay, from this mistake I made at this time, go through, okay, what can I do to improve that, and just listening to your own voice. I don't like that, and learning how to edit videos now, oh, it's so much worse. So
Yeah. But yeah, since then always been I've always been a lot more into making YouTube videos and content, and I would say streaming, but my computer is not the best with streaming, especially when I have my capture card hooked up.
yeah.
So I've since kind of not done as much streams, especially with mic on and everything, because I'm usually in a voice call when I'm streaming, and then I have to open Discord, and OBS does not respond well to having a lot of things open when you also have your capture card. So
Hmm.
I don't stream with mic as much anymore when I'm also playing a game. Like if I'm doing a rare stream where I'm like reacting to a Nintendo Direct or something, I'll always have mic and face cam on and all that. But for the most part, I kind of just play the game, talk to chat in the chat, occasionally use mic. YouTube, I've mostly I mostly stopped using like mic in YouTube videos, but I definitely could go back to that. I just need to think of content ideas because my YouTube is definitely most popular from uh compilation videos of Cooper free running world records, BTT segments, which is best theoretical time of Mario Odyssey, and just like kind of short compilation videos like that. But yeah, I would say late 2020 I got a uh I completely forgot what I was about to say. Um Let me think. 2021. I guess I'll point this out too now. In May 2020, like a couple weeks before I started my YouTube channel, is when I met one of my closest friends online, VGR, who this past summer I went to Pace with him, and also Buster Doggy, who I met in 2020, but I didn't really become close friends with him until like the beginning of this year. But yeah, VGR has kind of always been my friend along these 3.5-ish years. So that's been
Nice.
fun. We actually at
It's
one point,
it's always good to have friends like close, and also to like have that support you, in what you're
yeah,
doing.
yeah, I definitely agree. And it was also really cool because now VGR is like one of the best SMO runners, far better than me. But
Nice.
at the time, we had very similar PBs. They were both like high 108s. and we kind of just, well, this isn't really true. I was gonna say we kind of dwindle our PBs down together, but he definitely improved way quicker than me, where that's not really the case. Because for any percent, for the most part, for me, because any percent in SMO, it's a very cool category, but for me at least, it's like it can be very like frustrating, or I'm just not. I don't have that much motivation for it a lot of the time. I'm more of like when it comes to Odyssey, I like to do a variety of things in it, like Koopa free running. I did Darker Side recently. I did a lot of category extensions at that time.
Okay.
So I definitely, for any percent, at least for a while, it was kind of just one of those situations where I do runs a couple weekends and then I take a break for 7 months. And then I come back one weekend and I beat it by 2 minutes. And then eventually, I'd say when I got like my 103.21, the PBs started to become less huge because I guess I'll go through some of my PBs real quick. I started off with like a 108.40 something. Then I skipped 107 and 106 and got like a 105.40 something. And then I got a 104.59. And then I got a 103.21. And then after that PB, I would say is when my PBs started to become a lot like smaller, because then I got a 103.14, 102.59, and then I got uh wait, what did happen then? Oh yeah, I was doing a lot of unrecorded runs at that time for whatever reason. So after my 102.59, I decided, okay, I want to start having it be where every PB I get is recorded, because as you get better, obviously you want to have proof of your times.
Yeah.
Um, so then I got a recorded PB by like point 0.2, and I got another 102.59, but it was recorded, so I was happy with it. And then I got a 102.17. Um, and then 101.40, which was a big one. And then I think I was stuck at 101.40 for 10 months. And that's where it was leading into this year, I believe. And then in May of this year, I finally beat it. And there was no reason for it to take me 10 months either, because, and I still hold true with this, all of my PBs in this game in any percent have been like, have had so many mistakes. Like, I still am looking for that time where I'm going to be like, okay, I'm actually satisfied with this run, because it's kind of just the speedrunner mindset and philosophy, I think, where you kind of just, you really want a good run, and there's always at least something that happens in your run that's just like, man, that's really annoying, I need to do more runs. I think there's probably a very, very small percentage of speedrunners who their main category, they have a PB where they're really, really, really happy with and don't think they can improve by that much in.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, after May this year, I got a 101.17, and then I finally, I think June of this year, I want to say, got a 100.53, and since that 100.53, I don't know why, but I haven't had like the most motivation. But every single time I've done runs since that 100.53, there's been like a highlight of every session. I don't think there might have been like one or two sessions out of like 15 where like nothing really major happened. I got like a couple runs to Wooded, which is like the fourth split in the run, and then that was about it. But most of the sessions I've had like really good paces going into the late game. I've had like best exits, and then one day, I forget what day, I think it was about 2 months ago now, like mid July, I got a 100.48. Well, it was a 49, but it retimed to a 48. And then I killed a run in the first kingdom. And then I got a 100.44, which is the first time I've ever PB'd twice in one day. And I also got like a bunch of best exits that day. And then I also almost PB'd a third time that day, which is insane, especially at 100. Um, so that day really showed me, and none of these runs were that good, but that day really showed me two things. It showed me, first of all, that the huge PBs are probably not happening as often anymore. I definitely am still capable of a huge PB, but it would take a very good run, and I'm at the point where I can't expect like 20 plus second PBs every single PB, which was kind of the case at 103 and stuff. And then it also showed me that I am very, very capable of sub hour, which is currently probably my main goal in this game and speedrunning as a whole. Um, a lot of people have sub hour by now, and I just kind of like I've had the ability to get it for so long. I just haven't had the motivation, and I think I've recently finally gathered that motivation. The last 3 days in a row I've done runs, which doesn't seem like a lot, but for me, it kind of is for some reason. Um, but yeah, and then I guess the only other things that I would really think I should mention are I'll talk about pace. I think in a little while because that's probably the biggest highlight of my speedrunning journey so far. When I really really liked what I was at. Um, but there's like kind of three other things that I at least like think is important enough to put in my bio. So I think it was May 2022. There is a series on YouTube called Monthly Dose of SMO, or Weekly Dose of SMO, originally created by Xbox Jaja. I don't know if you heard of it.
No, I have not.
Okay, yeah. Weekly Dose of SMO. It was a pretty popular series by Xbox Jaja. Usually got a few thousand views each video. And it was really just kind of I think it was a really cool idea. It was kind of just like a community update video because a lot of the people who only watch the YouTube videos are less into the community. Like they don't have Twitter accounts or they don't have a Discord account, and they're not like top runners, but they should still know kind of what's going on with the community, like when different people get PBs or if new Cooper for running world records are broken or just weird glitches that people find in the game because there are still many, many weird glitches always being found. Usually they're pretty useless, but every once in a while there's still new strats being found in this
Oh
game
yeah.
because it's definitely still like relatively new and the movement options are just insane.
And that
Uh,
goes for like a lot of the games as well, not just Mario.
yeah,
Like there's so many games out there that new glitches, new route, new just everything, new stuff is being found, and it is crazy. And all these testers that are doing this, and they're breaking down the game and seeing which route is possible and stuff like that. That is just crazy to me, and it's something I can't even like fathom on like doing. That just takes so much time and effort for it, and then you gotta record yourself doing it and then put it out there for other people
yeah,
to see, to test, to try, and so on and so forth.
yeah. It's crazy, just especially for the older games like games pre 2000 even that's still every now and then obviously not as frequently as a game like Odyssey where it's only like almost 6 years old but it's still crazy to me that things are still like every now and then being found in those older games considering just how old they are and how much of a community they have. You would think they would have completely perfected the game, but it's
Yeah.
really hard to do that. So people are still going at it, and I have a lot of respect for the runners who have been speedrunning one game for like 20 plus years because that's just
Yeah. I
crazy.
think like since we're still on the topic of like new routes and stuff like that, I think Twilight Princess, who's this game has just been it's just been stuck at the same route, the same glitches, nothing new or anything. I think it just recently got like either a new route or a new glitch that happened where it just saves like a couple seconds or a couple minutes or something like that, and that is big. Like that is
Especially if it's minutes.
huge. Yeah. So
It's crazy to me for the older games, like how many times saved they get. But anyway, yeah, weekly dose of SMO. That's what we're talking about. That's right. This was kind of just a series for people in the community to know what's happening. I really enjoyed it because it started before I even joined the community. I believe like a year before I joined the community, maybe. I'm not sure. It might have been around when I was joining the community, but it was pretty early on, so even I didn't know a lot of the stuff that these videos contain. So I was like, oh wow, this is a great update video every week. It's something that I haven't seen in any other speedrun community, and it was very cool. So eventually, XC Xbox Strategy got tired of making these weekly. I think he did a few where he did it every 2 weeks, and then he was just like, okay, I'm done. And then someone else named XBC eventually continued that series, but it was a lot less consistent. They call it weekly dose, even though it came out like 1 week, and then maybe like there would be another one 3 weeks later, and then another one like a month and a half later, and then another one a week later. It's very inconsistent.
Hmm.
And eventually, I don't really know why, but eventually they just stopped making them. And then about a year later, in May of 2022, I decided, I've been making like videos in this style, kind of compilation, just putting words on the screen, putting stuff on. I mean, it still definitely takes some time to make,
Yeah.
um, like 4 or 5 hours total each episode, I want to say. But I decided I might as well do that because why not? One of the biggest things I think for me is even though I'm not like a top runner, I really, really like I really love the community and everything. So I've always tried to I'm always trying to look for like new things that I can do that haven't really been done before or that have been done before. New ways I can just help the community or do something cool or fun. So
That is the exact same mindset that I had when making or thinking of this podcast, is that
yeah,
I was taking to every community. It doesn't have to be just Mario, just Zelda, Metroid, or anything. Like even down to like the zombies Easter egg speedrunners, to whatever, to anything. Like it is for all the communities to come together to have a point where they can see what video is on, like on the YouTube channel, what speedrunner is on as a guest and what game they're running and so on and so forth, and learn about the new speedrunners. Like there's a couple on there that probably haven't heard of each other, and oh, that person seems interesting. I wonder what, like how they, oh, I know, or oh, I know that game. That's a Zelda game, but I don't know that person. Let me go watch that video and learn about them. And that's pretty much what this is. It just gives an outlet for the speedrunners to come on and talk about their career, their experiences, the challenges, the highs, the lows, the pros, the cons, and so on and so forth, and just and have viewers just learn more about them. And I think it's a really good outlet to have in the speedrunning community.
yeah, I think that's really cool because everything I've really done for the community has been like SMO community for the most part. I did try to do, I guess, in 2020, like a 3D World plus Bowser's Fury, like, because I remember when I joined. Okay, now this is a whole other thing. Okay, I'll just finish the weekly dose discussion here. Basically, I changed it to monthly dose of SMO, and then just recently, like a few days ago, I uploaded episode 50. Xbox, who created the first 25 and then quit, so I figured 50 would be a good number to end on. There's a lot of other people who make these videos too now, and I just passed the mantle on to Gorgonim. So I decided, yeah, I'm gonna, because entering junior year of high school and everything, so I don't have time to make these videos as much, especially since they're supposed to come out at the beginning of each month, and this last one came out on, I believe, this past Sunday on the 17th. So I did not succeed in putting it out the first weekend of the month. So yeah, I decided to end on episode 50, but I'm still like overseeing the server and everything. Um,
Nice.
but yeah, the other thing I was gonna say is, which is a little bit of a side tangent, kind of. But there's another thing in SMO which uh, I think it was JKB Sunshine who created the idea, and then Small Ant popularized it, and then
Is it
uh,
the hide and seek, or is it something else?
it's something else. It's
Oh, okay.
tasks, Super Mario Odyssey tasks, um, and eventually. this is a really cool concept. Basically, it's when, like, how do I explain it? Okay, so it's like a little mini series. It's like one task will come out like for 8 weeks, like one task and then another task the next Saturday, and then anyone could like submit their clips of the tasks because these tasks were only like 5 seconds to 25 seconds, so you could record it on the Switch and just post it to Twitter or upload to YouTube if you didn't have Twitter, or do whatever. And then you would just submit it either through a Google form or DM the person doing the tasks. And then it would be in a results video like the day after the deadline for that task, and it would show all the results of like all the different tasks. And
Nice.
basically tasks, you just like, you start out by warping to a checkpoint, and then you would do like a couple different objectives, and then that would then you would end, timing would end on the end of the last objective. So it was usually like within frames, and it's just a very cool concept. And eventually Leo179, I believe, decided to make a Super Mario Odyssey tasks server. And since then, because there was only 3 seasons of tasks before that, since then there have been like probably close to 50 different seasons of tasks of different types of tasks, because people decided to change the task completely. Like, for example, there's trick jump tasks where you have to do a trick jump at some point in the task, like a certain trick jump. And then capture tasks where you have to capture a certain thing. Maybe I might have gotten that wrong. Jump list tasks where you can't jump. Like, there's all these different things. So at one point I made one of these series. I called it Cooper Freerunning Challenges because I was big into Cooper Freerunning, the in-game speedrunning mode in the game.
Mm-hmm.
um so I decided to like make little challenges where timing would end, or where you had to do something before you reached the goal, and those were pretty successful. Before I did it on the task server, I actually did a small mini series, like kind of when I was joining the community, even like it was very long ago now, on my own server, um, and they did all right. And then when I made it actual task server, it did a lot better. Um, but yeah, it was just like that kind of mini series was always very fascinating to me, and it was definitely another one of the earlier things that I hosted at one point, which was very cool. And I definitely want to host another task series like that eventually. But that kind of leads into probably the most recent and most successful thing that I hosted, which also included a task series. But last October was Odyssey's 5th birthday, and one thing that because I played Mario Maker, as I said earlier, and then I played Mario Maker 2, and I was very invested in Mario Maker before I started playing Odyssey, like right after it released. And one thing that the Mario Maker community does that I think is really cool is every year of on Mario's Maker, or leading up to Mario Maker's birthday, they do 8 weeks, and each week they like release 8 different, like 8 really good creators will release levels for Mario Maker's birthday, and they'll be like some of the best levels in the game, like just design wise and platforming wise. Um, so I thought it was really cool how they have like a 2 month celebration every single year for Mario Maker's like birthday, and I think they still do it every year. I'm pretty sure this year is like what, Mario Maker's 8th birthday or something, which is ridiculous.
Jeez, yeah, it's
Um,
just crazy to think that a lot of these games are we're getting older. A lot of these
yeah,
games are getting older. Did Ocarina of Time came out in 1998. Like
yeah,
that
wow.
is it's just it blows my mind like how old these games are.
Yeah,
Like
it's crazy, honestly. Even Odyssey, because like I, my brother even makes fun of me for it sometimes. He's like, "How do you play Odyssey for so long?" And I'm just like, it doesn't even feel like I've been playing it for that long. But
yeah, exactly. Like
in reality, it's been like
Time
2.5 years.
Ocarina of Time is 25 years old.
Yeah, I've been playing Odyssey for almost a third of my life, which is
But yeah,
just
it's like
crazy to think about.
it is just nuts. Like
Yeah, but for Odyssey's 5th birthday last year, I had this idea actually sitting in a very boring history class. So thanks to my boring history teacher. But I was just thinking like I just like randomly thought, oh wait, it's Odyssey's 5th birthday next month, and I thought about how the Mario Maker community has like a birthday celebration every year, and I thought obviously Odyssey isn't the same type of game as Mario Maker. You don't make levels, so this celebration idea wouldn't work like every single year. I don't think. Um, but I decided it's Odyssey's 5th birthday. The community is very segmented. You know, there's the Trick Jump community, the Cooper free running community. Like, a lot of them interact with each other. There's not really like any hatred towards each other, or anything. But it's definitely like I thought, what if we just brought like everyone to as many people as I could together, like from all these different subsections of the community. And I thought I'm gonna let's do a 5 years of Super Mario Odyssey celebration. And I came up with the idea to do it from October 27th, Odyssey's birthday, which is actually when we announced it, through the end of 2022. And it was pretty successful because I wasn't like the most known person in the community by any means. But we got, let me see, we got 24, we got like we got over 100 people join the server, so that's a
Nice.
lot. And a lot of them are big people in the community too. Like we got um I hosted a any percent tournament, and I got 16 of the best runners to join, like Dangers, Dansta, VGR,
I feel like
Stratos.
I feel like that's a another thing, which is like going to a question I have is like with collaborations, is that I feel like Mario, specifically Mario, is like a good collaboration game for speedrunners to do races or like race tournaments or stuff like that. Cause like
Yeah,
you start and you just instantly go. You have a route. It's very easy to start. And you're not waiting. You know, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, or whatever in like Ocarina of Time or Majora's Mask, which has a 6 minute intro that you can't skip through. So
yeah. I think me and a lot of other runners in the SMO community kind of take that for granted about Mario Odyssey because there's a trick where called DSTA, Daylight Savings Time, where it's Daylight Savings Time abuse, not just Daylight Savings Time. Um, where you switch your switch clock to 7 minutes before any of the days of daylight saving time, like of any year, where it jumps forward an hour
mhm.
because in the Sand Kingdom you plant a seed
Oh yeah, I
and
think I was watching a TAS or something like that, a tool
yeah,
assisted speedrun, and they were doing that. Yeah,
yeah.
I think it was any percent. I'm not 100% sure.
It might have been a best theoretical time, like a BTT, where
I'm not
every
sure. I know
runner's
a bigger content creator. I think it was Linkus. I think he like went over it or something. I don't remember
maybe it's
who.
Limcube, might have been Limcube.
Um,
I don't know.
but yeah, it looked nuts. Like just the one the movement tasks tasks are like very interesting to watch. It just sees how like a computer pretty much because that's a tool assisted speedrun. How a computer can help like do a speed run, and like a lot of it, yes, human reaction can't do, but sometimes we can, like human can do. I think there's like a couple people, I don't know their names, but that are able to do like tool assisted tricks but without like the tool. You know,
Yeah,
they could do the tricks without the tool or anything, and that to me just blows my mind. But um we're gonna move on a little, but through your let me think.
I do think tasks are like really cool though.
Yeah,
There's not
and
a full task of Odyssey yet, but there's a lot of like individual segments. I also compiled like a playlist on my channel of just all the different tasks, and I look forward to the day eventually, which probably won't be for at least a year and a half where there is a full game task of Odyssey because it's just gonna be insane. Um, they definitely open the doorway to so many more tricks, and it's easier to like find new strats with tasks. I think
Yeah.
there's much more possibilities.
Now, you said that you do like a variety of categories for Mario Odyssey. Is
Yeah.
there a way, or like how do you approach it, the new category, and like what resources do you rely on?
Yeah, so I never like actively really grinded for one category in particular, but I've definitely tried a lot of different things and usually it would just result in me doing it for like a few days or something, but there are some categories where I have like pretty good PVs in, mostly category extensions. Um there is a lot of resources in the SMO community, which is one of the best things about the Odyssey community. There's the BTT sheet, which is just all the best segments from any runner combined. There's a BTT sheet of every category or almost every category, including category extensions, I think. And then
Okay.
there's also the sum of best sheet, and then I think there's also I'm pretty sure in the main Super Mario Odyssey speedrunning server, I believe there's probably route documents of almost all the categories. Personally, when I get into a speedrun, I don't actually just follow those route documents. Instead, I like to watch either the world record or a run, or if the world record's like ridiculous and I can't copy a lot of the stuff it does or a lot of the general route because of some really hard trick, I'll pick like another run, which is a little bit more intermediate friendly rather than like the best of the best. And I'll just type out the route and also try to pay attention to like what movement they do in certain areas that are a little bit less familiar and not in any percent.
Yeah,
And I
and
kind of just
a lot of it is just when learning a new speed run is practice.
yeah.
Doesn't matter. You don't have you can hit the live go live button and practice. You don't have to just do a couple practice and then runs. You can practice until you feel good about the trick, the route, or anything. And that's what I did a lot when learning Majora's Mask, glitchless, any percent. Is I love Majora's Mask, but the one thing that scares a lot of people is the time limit. Because for even for like the full 100% and all that, that's even scarier because you have to be at certain locations at certain times and you can't be late.
So
And if
very
you're
cycle heavy, kind of like a
yeah,
lot of cycles and stuff.
yeah, so the routing goes into is a lot is taken like really seriously because you may have one you have to go to one area, but then after you have to go straight to another area because the time is almost there. And if you're too early, one, you're wasting time because now you're waiting. But if you're late, then one, that is either the speed run is dead and you have to restart, or two, you're just losing time. So it's
Yeah,
but yeah, so the Majora's Mask any percent glitchless, it took me I'd say about a week, and that includes like offline training to like just keep learning the route and optimizing it to where I feel comfortable with it. And there's still some different route movements that I do differently. I pretty much take the easier route because there's some that is just very hard. And but practice makes perfect, and sooner or later it just becomes muscle memory.
yeah. I think that's one of the interesting things between like older games and newer games. I feel like at least with Odyssey, there's a lot less like cycle based stuff or where you have to do it at a certain time or kind of timing it out and the routing is like super important, which is probably one of the things I like the most about Odyssey is the approachability for speedrunning is really good. Like it's such an extremely beginner friendly game while also being like so good for people who want to get to the top level because the movement is just there's so much different things possible in the game and the movement is so complicated but also so simple if you aren't good at it. It really does kind of capture the magic of the earlier Mario games like before or really just a lot of the 3D Mario games, but it is really good in the sense that you can anyone can really get started with Odyssey. Like if anyone's intimidated for Odyssey, they really don't have much reason to be because it's a very good game to just jump into and get better at. That's probably why we see so many new faces all the time. Like there's always new runners where they're in my situation back in 2020 when I'd 108. Like I see people like that all the time, constantly improving and getting better, and it's really cool to see. And there's so many guides and tutorials and resources
Yeah,
too.
and
That's
I
cool.
think a while back ago, I was kind of learning redusting or re what I can't,
Derupting.
yeah, just practicing the route and all that stuff because it's like, why not? Maybe I'll come back to speedrunning one day. Um, and I went to go look at my leaderboard or to see where I was, my place on the leaderboard, and I was not where I was when I first was doing it. I think I was like, I wasn't high on it, but like I was still okay. But now I think I'm at like 100 or something.
I mean, that's still probably pretty good. I don't know how many people do, uh, how many people are on that leaderboard because I know
Yeah,
Odyssey is just huge now. But yeah, I think I'm like around 100th and any percent at the time for Odyssey, but uh, definitely hoping for that to drop down a little bit soon.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, I guess soon I'm gonna be asking you some questions. But so to finish off my kind of story, I'll probably talk a little bit, hopefully not too extensively long, about summer pace this year, which was just 2 months ago.
So hold on real quick. I found it. I am
Yeah,
now 101 place.
that's like
On the
really
leaderboard. On the
similar. I
leaderboard.
think that's really similar to my Odyssey ranking, which is kind of funny.
I
Let me check.
think last time I saw, I was in the middle of the 90s. I don't fully remember, but I'm seeing like a lot of people just scrolling through this be playing it. Like 197th place was 4 months ago. 100th place was 2 months ago. Um so there are people playing this category, and I think that is crazy. 107th place is 6 months ago, so they are, there's people playing these.
Yeah, that's it's so impressive that like so many people still play the older games, and it always makes me wonder what the case is going to be with Odyssey, like 5 to 10 years down the line from now, because there's still such an active community, and there's I'm looking at Speedrun.com now. There's 3,944 runs on the leaderboard right now, which I believe is one of the most I've any speed game,
That is
and
crazy.
we're still like I wouldn't say we're still in the early years of Odyssey's life, but we're definitely not near the end of Odyssey's life for the community because there's still every now and then new routes being found, which isn't too often, but there's definitely new strats or old strats even that we haven't implemented until recently being implemented, and I don't know, it's just such a fun game to see what's happening, especially recently because recently um, you might or might not know this. You probably do, but Tyrone 18 is like the god of SMO for the last 2 years,
I
along with.
have not.
Okay, yeah. Well, Tyrone 18 is like definitely number one. He got the first 58, got the first 56, and his last record was 8 days ago with 56:37. Um,
Nice.
But recently, because he got the first 56 like a year and a half ago, and recently Odyssey has actually been becoming super competitive at the top level because there's currently like a six-way race to the second 56. Um, a runner named Mitch who got the first 57 actually got a 56:28, which would be world record, which is insane, but it was his recording corrupted actually,
Mm-mm.
so it's unverifiable, which is like one of the most sad things I've ever seen because like that must just be so infuriating if I was in his position. Um and then also there's Goryuya, who's a Japanese runner, Jambo, Lucidity and VGR, and then also of course Buster Doggy, who is probably the closest to the second 56 now in the sense that he's been getting paces like very very frequently, and he's gonna get there soon. And he is one of the people along with VGR who I went to pace with. So yeah, pace was a little over 2 months ago now. I believe it was July something to okay wait July 2nd to July 8th. Me, VGR, and Buster went from the 4th to the 8th, which it was such a cool experience, mostly because I've always wanted to meet like other speedrunners in person, you know. And I kind of always, because I live in New Jersey, VGR lives in Connecticut. Another one of my friends, Zypher, lives in Connecticut. Whenever I've thought about meetups, like I always thought my first meetup would be like, because I have some family that lives in Massachusetts. I thought it would be like when I'm going to Massachusetts, I'd stop by, hang out with VGR and maybe Zypher for like an hour, and that'd be it. So when I realized that Pace is like a thing I could go to because my aunt actually happens to live 30 minutes away from the venue, which is so convenient because then we didn't have to pay for a hotel, which is not.
Yeah, that is very convenient. And
Yeah.
like speaking of conventions and all that, TwitchCon is coming up.
Yeah.
Sadly, I will not be able to go, but I was hoping, but maybe next year I will be able to. I kind of also like want to come in like I've been having this like some sort of like cosplay like type idea of dressing up as Majora's Majora as my whole character thing I'm based off of, and I just have so many ideas. So maybe one day I'll join and
Oh, that's
I'll
really cool.
come by and cosplay as a Majora. I think it would be pretty interesting. But yeah,
Nice. Have you been
I
to
would, huh?
have you been to any conventions before, like with
No.
gaming or anything? No? Okay.
If I was able to go to
Oh,
TwitchCon
that's fun.
this year, this it would be me and my wife's first year going.
Oh, nice.
So, also to
Yeah.
backpedal a little bit of what we were talking about earlier about how like older games, and so on and so forth, I found out that Ocarina of Time, or the no, sorry, the first Zelda game that was ever released was 37 years ago on February 1st, 1986, and the first Mario um game released on a it was on a Saturday, and that released 39 years ago in 1983. So, talk about old games, and
Yeah, they are very old.
it's
Um,
crazy.
but yeah, I would definitely recommend the whole convention thing. It was such a blast. I got to meet a lot of people I've always wanted to meet. It was insane too, because the first day we were there on Tuesday, I believe this 4th of July actually. Um, like that was the day that night there was a four-way darker side race, which is like 3 hour category where you beat darker side and beat like the whole game up until that point, between four top runners in that category, all of which I also would have wanted to meet, which I did. So being there that day, it was honestly like the most fun I ever had. We got there. I was. It was crazy to me because I've never met a speedrunner before this point, like in person, except for VGR and Buster, who I met like the day before. Um, and we were all just like the three of us were just surrounded by like 15 Super Mario Odyssey runners that we've interacted with plenty of times online that we never got to meet in person. So it's just really like in a very positive way overwhelming because it was just like, wow, this is like my first meetup. Like I said, I was expecting like a 1 hour hanging out with like one person.
Oh
I
yeah,
wasn't expecting a 5 day event where I'm with like 15 other people with the same interest and passion. It was such
yeah.
a fun
We had a whole
experience.
plan that we were gonna do. That my stepmom's mom, which everyone, and because it was in Vegas this time. everyone in my family has always gone to Vegas with her, and me and my wife have never gone to Vegas. So we're like, hey, this is an opportunity for us to go to a convention that we want to, and also to hang out with you in Las Vegas. Why don't we make it happen? The one thing I needed to do was to get a job. Job hunting is
Oh,
so hard,
it
and
is really hard.
I
I
gave myself 1 month, and if I was not able to get a job in 1 month, then I would cancel. But luckily, we did because she is getting shoulder surgery, not soldier shoulder surgery, sometime in October. So I'm glad I we weren't able to go because of her health, and she was going to be helping with like the hotel and all that stuff because she like gets points or whatever. Um, but yeah,
yeah.
but health comes first. But so we are at the 50 mark or 51 mark. Do you have any questions for me?
I do, but I am almost done. I do have a couple more things to say regarding pace, real quick.
Okay.
Um, so, and now I'm blanking out. So yeah, the first thing was a little bit of a tease for fall pace. Actually, is in a month and a half. I have school, so I won't be attending for the full week, but there are actually day passes this time around, which is really cool. So I'm going to be attending on Friday, November 10th of that week and hanging out with the people that'll be there. It's definitely not going to be anywhere as big as Summer Pace, but I figured, I live pretty close. I only live a couple hours away. My aunt's house is also there, so I never really need to get a hotel. So I figured even if it's only one day, like it's only like $40. Like
Yeah.
I yeah, that's definitely worth it. So I figured I'd go for the day, and I'm not sure if you heard about this from the first pace. I imagine you've had to. Maybe not though. But a runner King J 0444, or just King J, organized a 70-star 70-person relay race at pace, relay run at pace.
That sounds familiar, but I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, so I was one of the 70 people, but it was a really cool experience because it was just like I don't know if I'll ever be in a room with that much speedrunners again unless it's like another event like that he hosts, because he's gonna host one of these at every pace now. Pretty sure it's a main event at the next pace, which is
Nice.
unfortunately the day before I'm going. But yeah, it was 70-star because 70-star 64 speedrun and then 70 people. So it's still just crazy to me that that was a thing. I don't play 64 like at all. But I got like a relatively easy star, but it was just so fun to be a
I
part of that. And
I've seen so many speedruns of Mario 64, and I go to play the game casually and I'm still lost.
yeah, it's
I can get like 1 or 2 stars and then I'm like, okay, where am I going?
same. The movement I also especially like, because Odyssey was like, well, 3D World was my first 3D Mario. Odyssey was my second 3D Mario. And as someone who played Odyssey before ever playing 64, it's really hard to enjoy 64 because I'm so used to how incredible the movement is in Odyssey that
Yeah.
it's hard to get used to the camera and everything. But yeah, at fall pace, I was a bit inspired by King J's 64 idea and a little bit of a self promo thing here, I guess. I'm going to be hosting a 16-person, 16 split Mario Odyssey speedrun, any percent, and probably just streaming it to my own channel in the practice room, which is okay with the staff. Um, so I think I think I still have like 7 splits remaining, and signups are pretty slow. So if anyone watching this plays Odyssey and is going to fall pace, please sign up. I need people. But yeah, that should be a lot of fun, and I'm also looking forward to going to another buffet dinner with a bunch of speedrunners, which King J
Yeah.
also hosts.
Yeah, I think
Uh,
it would just be fun to, you meet a lot of people online, and those online strangers become online friends, and then you just like, man, I just want to meet everyone. And that's what I was kind of hoping for um at TwitchCon, but sadly it was just not in the cards this year.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's not too far away next year, or it's, you know, I have a job and I can save up for next time, but hopefully it's not too far away. So,
Yeah. And I'm also looking this is a little bit unrelated, but I just want to get it out of the way. I'm also really looking forward to the new 2D Mario next month, Super Mario Bros. Wonder, which comes out, I
oh
believe,
yeah,
in 29 days, I believe.
wow.
Because I'm planning on being involved in the early speedrunning scene of that game, which is something I've always wanted to do, is like be involved early on in a game, because even with Odyssey, like I saw everything that was happening early on in the game, but I was so young that I wasn't actually like involved for a few years. So I'm really looking forward to like helping with routing early on and like seeing if I can get a top time on one of the first days it comes out. I already have it pre-ordered and everything, so that's gonna be a blast. I really hope that game's very fun to speedrun.
Okay.
Um,
Well,
but yeah, that kind of. I guess
we
I'll ask some questions now too.
yeah,
Yeah,
because we're almost out of
yeah, we're going.
time. So,
Yep. So how did you get into speedrunning? I guess.
so I've said this a couple times is that I watched, I think it was like 2018, I joined Twitch under my actual name, which cannot be found anymore. But I was just looking up Zelda games because that's what I grew up on. I wanted to see if people are still playing these games, and a lot of them were. Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, Twilight Princess, and I found Pope Squidward, and he was, I think at the time he was playing Ocarina of Time. He was speedrunning it, and then slowly switched over to Majora's Mask, and I was just, like, it blew my mind, like what you could was one speedrunning was, and how fast you can play. Because mind you, I was still somewhat young, or so, learn and I played this game for years, and this game was so hard to me, and just seeing someone learn tricks and be able to do them and beat the game as fast as they can, like, blew my mind. So I wanted to get into more of the communities, not just like Zelda games or anything, and learn different speedruns from other uh speedrunners. So that's where I kind of like joined communities and streams, discords, and so on and so forth. So that's how I like kind of like dipped my toes uh into it. And then about a year or so ago is when I got into speedrunning, and I picked up Majora's Mask any% glitchless. And I might, now that I'm 100 in first place, I might have to pick it up sooner than I thought and climb the rankings.
Yeah, that's really cool.
So,
Um, have you played any Mario games, or like, are you into
I
Mario?
played. I'm not really into Mario per se. I'll like watch it for a little bit. I have played Mario Odyssey. I thought it was a really good game. The storyline was good. The movement was good. Yeah, so I had a lot of fun playing Mario Odyssey, and I think it's a really cool feature as well that two players can play at the same time. And I know there are speedruns of that as well.
Yeah,
Um,
what's really cool about two player too is a lot of people just, because it's, you can't do it online, unfortunately.
yeah.
Which they better implement if there ever is a Mario Odyssey 2, which that's a whole other thing that I'm a huge advocate for. Um, I might have a lot of unworthy faith in Nintendo for that one. Um,
I mean, I still have faith in one day, hopefully, in a Nintendo Direct, they announce Wind Waker and Twilight Princess on the Switch. It probably will never happen because there's already HD versions of them.
I'm
But
sure
I'm
that they'll.
hopeful.
I'm sure. I don't know about on the Switch because I feel like the next console will probably be in about a year or something, like end of next year. But I definitely think that they'll come back eventually. Like, even if it's not a remake. Well, I guess it is probably already on the online service, isn't it?
A lot of the old ones are, yes, but not
Yeah.
the 3D ones.
Oh,
Or
okay.
actually, I was wrong. Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask are on the Nintendo Switch Online, but after that, there is none. So Wind
Yeah, that's
Waker, Twilight Princess, Skyward HD is on there because there was no
yeah.
HD version of it yet until they put it on the Switch. But the main ones I'm hoping for is Wind Waker and Twilight Princess.
I think it'd be cool if they did like full on remakes someday, like
Yeah, up the
5 to 10
graphics
years,
and yeah, I think
just
that would be
up the movement and everything. Because then I feel like I could play them and probably like have a good time with them. Because right now, no offense, but right now if I play them, I'm just gonna be like, this game is so old, and I'm just gonna play Odyssey again.
yeah.
Because that's even with 64, which like I think is a really cool game and a really cool community. I can't play the game after playing Odyssey because it's just
Yeah, the movements are clunky and yeah,
yeah.
no, I understand. All right.
Uh,
So for the final moment, what are your future goals that you have in mind for your speedrunning career?
um, honestly, I want to definitely the relay race I'm doing at pace. Getting involved in Mario Wonder. If that's a really fun game, I could definitely see myself really being involved in that community. I'm already in the speedrunning server, which fun fact they created 2 months before the game was even announced. They just called it New 2D Mario Speedrunning Server. So as soon as the reveal trailer ended, they made it public, which I think is really funny.
Nice.
Um, so I definitely plan to be involved with that game. Um, if Odyssey 2 or a new 3D Mario that I enjoy even more than Odyssey ever comes out, I'm definitely going to be doing that. Right now, my main goal for Odyssey is any percent sub hour, which honestly, uh, you already know this, but for people watching, anyone watching the stream might know this, but literally like 30 minutes before this podcast, I got a pretty crazy run, and Wooded Kingdom, I lost 40 seconds in, and the run was like a 100:49, so it was really close to sub hour if I just got a good Wooded. Actually, I lost 50 in Wooded. Um, so yeah, it was a really, really bad run, but it was so close to a PB. So it's really making me realize how close I am to sub hour. And then
Yeah, and I
also,
think I think you will get that. It's just like I said
yeah,
earlier, it's just time and practice. So
yeah, it really is just a matter of time. I think I could even like I really want to get it before Mario Wonder comes out, which it's really hard to say if that'll happen or not because
yeah,
I'm capable of getting it this week potentially, but like you never know with speedrunning. Sometimes stuff takes way longer than it should. And
yeah.
then I also want to do some more darker side runs. Really just do
Branch
more different
do
categories.
branch out.
Sorry, yeah, branch out with categories and maybe even play some other games a tiny bit, especially Mario Wonder, obviously. And then
Okay.
in the long run, right now I really don't know what I want to do when I grow up, but one of the main things is definitely a content creator or streamer. Right now, my streaming isn't very great because of
This
just
your
my
setup, but
computer, my hardware, and
one day you'll get there. It just takes
yeah, one
time.
day, especially when I'm in college and after college, like if whenever I'm living on my own and without like all these restrictions that I currently have, I think that I definitely want to get into editing and everything a lot more and try to find ways to make it
Hmm.
more enjoyable. Because right now, which is a fun fact, but right now I actually just use YouTube Editor and OBS, and I overcomplicate things way too much. And a lot of people who watch my YouTube channel might think that's hilarious because I've been making these style of videos, like these compilation videos, for 3 years. So you would think I would have gotten past the YouTube Editor by now, but
Hey, you gotta use what you gotta use. I
if it
mean,
works, it works. I mean,
exactly. So,
yeah.
but that is all the
Well,
time we have
yeah.
for today. Thank you, Zach, for coming on. It was a blast learning about your start and where you are, and now your future. So I really do appreciate you having you on the podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Man. This podcast is really cool. Definitely gonna advertise this episode a lot when it comes out because I really think this podcast deserves a lot more attention because it's far more professional than anything I've ever done.
I
Besides,
try to make it professional. I like try to email at least if there's an email, or if there's no email, I try to either go to Twitter, and if I can message the person on Twitter. If not, then I go to Discord. Um, but I'm trying to keep it as professional as I can. But I really do appreciate that.
yeah, you're
So
doing a good job. Just
uh,
keep it up, and it'll hopefully get more and more traction as it goes on.
yeah.
Love to see other people join the podcast as well.
Yeah. So Zach's links will be in the description below. Go follow him on Twitch to go watch if he goes live to watch his runs, and just wish him some good luck. So,
Yeah.
all right, peace out, everyone.
See ya. Subscribe.